say you can only believe as loud as you yell, and you can only dream as much as you sell yourself. But she found a way through the noise. She followed her heart and found a better choice. Oh, she broke down walls by loving who was with her, and it spread like a fire. She waged a war through peace and forgiveness. One voice is now a choir. Can you feel it? Sacred solution. Can you hear it? Quiet revolution.
And I just want to welcome everybody to the world where worry doesn't matter. Worry is okay. It's just part of us. It's just part of what's happening with our world and with our minds. But I know personally, when I've got some serious worry going on, it's like I have a circus in my brain. And there are monkeys everywhere just going crazy. And that's why I picked this picture for you. Ben's in Bali. And he's staying just a mile outside of a nature preserve for monkeys. And it's a 2-mile preserve, right? That on the edge of the city. There's no fences or anything around it. They just put sweet potatoes out for the monkeys all the time. And the monkeys live in the preserve and just love their life, but regularly come into town to see if there might be something more interesting that might be found. And so they're wandering around. He sent some videos and stuff where they're all wandering around in town and how fun that is. But they're noisy and they're unpredictable. And sometimes they kind of seem angry. And I could relate to that with the worry that goes on in my head. It can be really noisy in there. And so we're going to talk about different ways to control that as we go through today. So if you have monkeys, I love this guy's tail. Can you see? It is so long. If you have monkeys, this is your chance to get those monkeys under control, or maybe even radically befriend the monkeys. We'll talk about that and create some peace in your life. I really want this to be more talk than me. So we'll just very quickly get started with slides, but I just kind of wanted to be able to visit about the slides themselves. And then Jen, when we get to the brain part about how the brain works, you're going to take some time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we're going to do that. So let's just talk about it. Y'all, why do we worry? I mean, we know it's good. Why do we worry?
For me, I've noticed there's 2 reasons why I worry.
Mm-hmm.
One reason is because of uncertainty. I don't have all the information, and to feel safe and secure, I want all the information. So I'll worry because it's of uncertainty. Yeah. Or I worry because it's a pattern that is from my childhood. I come from a sky is falling, worry wart mother. And so it's like, it's just, that's what
modeled for you. Yeah. The childhood pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. Me too. Mm. Yeah. And just the not knowing. I have a heart that really wants to know what comes next, that wants to feel in control. And here I am in a world where we really don't get to control anything except for how we respond and what we personally choose. And so it's kind of that contrast that's going on inside all the time. But I want to know, but to choose how you work with it. But I want to know, and so there is that worry. What about for you, JC?
Yeah, I worry for me. I used to make fun of my grandma because I always called her, "You're such a worry wart," And I was just sitting here wondering when I started, at what point in my life did I start worrying? And to me, worry is something that, yes, you have no control over, and it's so deep that you want to fix it. you are or I'm looking for ways to fix it. I'm looking for ways, but I can't. It's there's just so much. It's so big. And so that's what causes me worry when it's so big that, and I'm trying really hard to take care of it. And I just can't. I can't. And that's when I have the worry. What ifs, the what ifs, what if. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just takes off. There's a quote that I have loved for years and years, because y'all know how much I love my rocking chair. I bought it when I was 21, pregnant with my third. It belonged to grandma. I bought it secondhand. She was the most lovely person. And so I love sitting in her chair, which has now become my chair. But it's a quote about a rocking chair, and it says, worry is like a rocking chair. It keeps us fully occupied. It doesn't get us anywhere.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
We can rock, and think about it, you can rock as hard as you can rock. It keeps me so occupied. And it actually feels good. It's very soothing for the brain, the rocking. It keeps me fully occupied, but it doesn't get me anywhere. It is just not useful. So this is one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain. I've seen a great many catastrophes in my life. Most of them never happened.
I need to put that on my board.
Yeah, well, it's all because I heard yesterday, and I wish I could know, I could quote for you the name, but it was a PhD psychiatrist who had written this article on anxiety. And she was saying she had read this article where another PhD psychiatrist had said, anxiety is just imagination.
Yeah.
And as a psychiatrist who has worked with lots and lots of anxiety and knows the suffering that anxiety causes, she says, I really take issue with the word just, because it's not just anything. It is a real feeling, and it really causes tremendous suffering. So she took the word just out, and she said, worry is imagination. And then the great many catastrophes, like Mark Twain said, it's imagination. We are master storytellers, but most of them never happened, right? I mean, I've had some real drama in my head, but most of them never happened. Why? Because like you guys said, our brains really crave knowledge. They want the known, because they want to be able to infer or predict what is going to happen. The unknown doesn't work for the brain, not at all. They are predictive, and they really want to be predictive. And all day long, our brain scans for troubles and problems to solve so that it can be ready and we can be safe. It's a best friend. They're safe, trying to keep us safe, just trying to take care of us. It's all it is. So let's talk about some examples of prediction, because we are master predictors. That imagination that we've got going so well in our minds. This is like the perfect example: juggling or just throwing the ball. When I throw the ball up, I predict it will come back, and it's going to come back here because I threw it straight up. Yesterday, we were playing Frisbee with the dog. I wasn't so good at predicting where the Frisbee was going to go, but I can do the ball straight up. I know it's going to come down. Here's another. Your brain exactly predict. What do you see in the picture?
Yeah.
What do you see?
I see a duck very first. Yeah.
I see a bunny.
I see a bunny. Right.
Oh, and now I see a bunny. Now I see a bunny.
Right? Yeah. I immediately saw what was funny is my poor brain went bounce back and forth like this.
Yeah.
Duck bunny, duck bunny, duck bunny. And just kind of got that whole chaotic thing going on. But it's what we've trained our brain to see. Yeah, it's a beautiful bunny. You focus on the eye, and it's so sweet and so loving. Or if maybe your background was a little different, it looks like an angry duck. So, but that's our brain predicting, right? You've got the sweet doe-eyed bunny or the angry duck.
Well, what does that tell you about me? I saw angry duck first.
Who knows? Maybe you just see things more on the left than the right. But that's what the drawing is. Here's another one. I love this. What if which the weather app, which is on the homepage of my phone, what if this is what the weatherman said? I don't know.
Well, don't they?
Don't they sometimes say that?
Yeah, but
Well,
where
they don't
would
say.
millions of Americans be without their weatherman
I
to
know.
predict?
Right. Yes. To tell
Yeah,
them what it's going to be when it's really not going to be that. Yeah.
they don't know.
He's
I
They
don't
kind
know.
of
I don't
know
know.
how things go,
giving
but
possibilities. These are possibilities.
Yes. Yes.
they're
Yes.
dreaming
Oh my
possibilities.
gosh. That's
Yes,
so
or this is
funny.
my favorite. Our brains have been trained since childhood where there is lightning, there will be thunder. But in Texas, in the summertime, there is heat lightning and there is no thunder.
Mhm.
So
Oh, wow.
it's just, you can see this, something very similar to this, and have it just be silent. And I know personally, I sit and wait. I'm like, where is it? Where? I know it's,
Wow.
and then it doesn't come. Yeah.
Oh,
But this is another,
interesting.
we predict. And when we watch the weather report, we feel safer because we feel like we can predict what's going to happen. When I see lightning and know there's thunder coming, I feel just a little safer in my prediction. It's what the brain does. Here's another example of prediction. Jen, you want to tell a little bit about this one? What do you see?
Oh, I'd see fear.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're asking me to see here.
I just wondered what you saw. I knew you would feel something when you saw it.
I see fear, and I see a child that in the future, anytime she's corrected, she'll go into a fear response.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because her brain will begin to predict, especially with this person.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She does look very scary.
Yeah.
But what happens is we respond emotionally, just like Jen said, to our simulation. She will create a simulation. I don't know if y'all ever played that game, The Sims, in the early 2000s. It was, you built whole worlds of these people who were simulations. And she creates in her brain a simulation and a prediction about what will happen next, either with that person or that kind of situation where somebody points their finger and uses a firm voice, right? And this is a great book, How Emotions Are Made, The Secret Life of the Brain. A lot of the aroma wisdom technique came from that book. So if you want some good reading on how emotions are made. But this in the predictive brain is what I wanted Jen to talk to us about, because this is one of my favorite things Jen does, is she really knows brain anatomy and the way the brain functions. And she's taught me a lot about how fear and trying to predict work in the brain. So can you just teach us a little bit? We've got the amygdala, and then we've got how the brain goes offline in the next slide.
Yeah, I'll teach you what I think you want to hear. I have to put a caveat in here. It's like I just know enough. I don't know everything. So Beth, your praises are I think a little bit
Okay, well, let me just say, you know more than I know, and I appreciate.
I'm like, let's say that because I could even possibly get something wrong, but this is how I understand that it works. So yeah, I'm not the expert, but so how it works, and I'm talking about the most primal part of the brain. It's what some people call our monkey brain, which I thought was really interesting. With you had your monkeys in the beginning. It's what some people call like our lizard brain, but it's our survival brain. Okay. And do you want me to do my hand thing? Is that what you want?
That's the next slide. Do your hand thing on the next slide. Just teach us about the amygdala and the general way that things flow. What happens?
So the amygdala is the very first part of your brain that actually registers threat. So it's kind of like your anxiety, your stress, your threat switch. So it's like that part of your brain. When you talk about scanning your environment for like threats or issues, that part of your brain is happening, and all this is happening unconsciously. So it's just happening all the time. And when it finds a threat, there's actually kind of like a cascade that happens in that inner brain, that survival brain. And I think maybe that's what I will talk about on the next slide. But it all starts with the amygdala. And what is interesting is, so we consciously understand threat, but so later on than our unconscious mind. And the reason is because our conscious brain can only process like anywhere from 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information at a time, where our subconscious mind can process millions of chunks of information simultaneously.
It's just always going, right?
It's always going. Well, it's what actually regulates all of our body functions, all of our like our temperature, our heart rate, our blood flow, our respiration. It is in charge of all of that we consciously don't mediate. And so it can then, when the amygdala senses a possible threat, it immediately goes into all this stuff, which we'll talk about, on the next slide, that our conscious mind would take too long to say, well, okay, that's that. So let's increase blood flow. Let's do this. It would take too long. And so this is our survival brain. And in the first part of it, it's like that gateway or that switch is the amygdala. So.
Perfect.
Okay.
It discerns threat, the amygdala is activated, and then it sends out everything that needs to go, right?
There's like a little like cascading effect that happens.
That's good. Yeah. Perfect. And then there's this, when the amygdala is hijacked.
Okay, so the amygdala is hijacked because the function of our survival brain is very primitive, very old, and it was around in the very beginning of man to keep us safe when our environment was very different than our modern environment. And so it was always activated to keep us alive. And we've all heard the fight, flight, or freeze. That's what this does. It immediately takes us out of our conscious thinking and puts us into just being a nervous system response body, which is like no thinking brain, which a lot of us are like, when I'm in that situation, I do things that are crazy because I don't have my conscious brain. And is this where you want me to show the hand?
Yes, I do. I do things crazy like that too. I'll put the peanut butter in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Because is disengaged, it's off worried about something else.
Or like you'll just do crazy things because your subconscious has made some connections and it's doing things, and your conscious brain is just like, no, we gotta. It takes too much energy to be thinking in the conscious brain, and your subconscious, your unconscious, that survival brain is saying, we got to conserve energy, we've got to put all of our energy towards survival, and so things shut down. Do you want to put me on full screen so they can see this?
Yes, I do. Let me pause to share. Are you on full screen?
No, you have me.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So think of it like this. So like think of, because we've all done this. We've all gone into that panic, that anxiety, that, like I just avoided a car hitting me or something like that. That's that activation of that system. But we also, interesting enough, go into it when it's not a car or not life-threatening. So just kind of maybe think about
I know you get a letter that has the return address IRS.
Yeah. Or
that's a very benign thing, right? It's just a letter.
Or an email that makes those things happen. But anyway, so what's happening is, use your hand. Now, this is something from Dr. Spiegel. I think it's Daniel Spiegel. So I'm going to try and get more centered in the.
Oh, you're good.
You're good. This is not me. So this looks like your brain. Okay. So
I love that isn't it like the same size? Like it could fit in pretty much the same size as our brain.
Think of this as your brain, and this is your spinal cord and everything like that. So this is your brain. Sorry, put your thumb in. Put your thumb inside. Okay, this is your brain.
My thumb is in.
So what this is right here is your prefrontal cortex, your temporal cortex, your occipital cortex. This is just your big thinking brain is right here. Okay.
This is the part that makes all my decisions.
All your decisions, and this is where definitely here your cognitive function, your executive function is right here, your prefrontal cortex. So
is that why I couldn't remember my phone number when I was in an emergency situation?
Oh yes, because all this goes off. Because the emergency situation is fight, flight, freeze. You're trying to figure out what's going to happen, and it's not here. It's internal that's doing it. Okay, so this is your brain. Now just open up your hand. Okay, so your thumb. So this inner part and your thumb is what they call your limbic, your monkey brain, your survival brain, which is just some of them are like your your hypothalamus, your hippocampus, your amygdala, and some other things. But this is where it's at. Okay. And this is what determines whether you die, or run away. Okay. Okay. This is what keeps you alive, especially in ancient times. Okay. So now close your hand over. So what happens? So remember, let's call the thumb the amygdala. Okay. Let's call the thumb the amygdala. So what happens is you're doing something and you have this inkling that there's a threat. Okay. So let's say driving and there's a car. Okay. And it swerves out in front of you. So it's doing something that's not supposed to happen. And your amygdala is the first thing that perceives it. Remember, it's the switch. It's the gateway. It's saying threat. And so what happens is it starts to move under here. It starts to move. It starts to say, okay, activate. And it's activating all of the stuff inside there for flight, fight, or freeze. We've got to send blood to the limbs. We've got to make, reactions. It pumps cortisol. It pumps adrenaline. So it's like taking all that stuff. So what it does is it takes this offline and it does this. And they call it flipping your lid. So you are no longer integrated as a full functioning brain. Okay. You are now
vibrating.
I know. You are now just this primal survival brain happening, which then does cascade into the autonomic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze. So at that point, you're just a nervous system. You're not a brain. You're just a nervous system, which, it serves a purpose and it's necessary. So it's kept us alive for eons. Okay. But you're offline. You flipped your lid. Okay. So the key is this system, especially in here, this amygdala, sometimes doesn't understand what is a real threat. Now, this is what's called the mistriggering of the nervous system. Is that really a threat? Is that really like, I'm going to die? Or is that just a letter from the IRS?
Yeah. Is it just a letter?
Yeah, it does the same thing because it's all about survival. For some reason, you have connected surviving with the IRS or non-survival or threat with the IRS. And so all of a sudden it's like, this is happening and you're going, oh, and everything. And you could totally do this. And it's like, blah, or like milk ends up in the cupboard or something, because you no longer have your cognitive functions. Okay.
It's just all crazy, right? It's
all crazy. But an interesting thing that I learned, so you can understand this, the depth of the fight, flight, or freeze, because we all, have these little keywords. There's actually, so fight or flight is because of fear. Okay. You do fight or flight. And we all think that, like the car, I'm either going to fight or I'm going to flee, fight or flight. Okay. So think about freeze. What is freeze? Freeze is a kind of like an absolute, like deer in headlights, scared stiff.
Mobilized. You just can't. Yeah. You're immobilized.
So that's taking it into a territory of actually trauma response. You've been in a situation where that's happened, and so it's happening again to you. It's becoming familiar, and so that is like terror. You freeze because of terror. Well, they've actually discovered two other ones. So it's called they're calling flop. So fight, flight, freeze. Flop is a complete collapse of your abilities. That is where they're saying is in the realm of horror, where you no longer can do any of that other stuff in your nervous system. And it's helplessness.
You're just completely incapacitated.
Yes, completely incapacitated. And that, once again, is part of the trauma response. So you've had experiences where that's had to happen before.
Right.
And then one that they have found in modern society that is really interesting is called fawning.
Appease. Right?
Appease. That's where it's like, you're in a situation that is so dangerous that you start to appease so you don't have conflict or punishment.
Maybe I can just make it better.
And we see that in like abuse situations and things like that. So it's interesting. And that's all a function in here. It's all a function in here. And so it's crazy. So it's interesting. I love how they're actually teaching school kids this technique. So when they start to feel like all those activations, they'll help them. Do you feel scared? Do you feel like this in your body? And they'll like teach them. And so kids can go up to some of these teachers. I've read these articles and they'll be like, and they'll do this. And the teacher will be like, okay, you need to go do something to help you regulate yourself.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they're teaching kids to understand that even when this is happening. But what I love about what we are going to learn today is we're going to learn how, when this is happening, not to do this, but to
not to go there
and keep our shiz together, basically. You know?
Right. Well, and we'll learn techniques that will calm the amygdala as well.
Yeah.
So that it's not going to begin the vibration on the regular in the first place.
And that cascading effect is the amygdala, making everything go offline. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you needed from me?
Thank you. So
I think this is the class I've needed my whole life. This is amazing.
Right? It's so cool.
Yeah. It is so cool. All right. So what happens? This is what happens when we flip our lid. Fools rush in where wise men fear to tread. We're completely offline and we can't think about it. So what's the solution? Wait a minute. Take a deep breath.
Breathe.
That is the number one response. One of my favorite pieces of information that I picked up is deep breathers live longer was the headline. I'm like, well, duh, we need to breathe to live, right? But the premise beneath the headline was they had done a study of hundreds of individuals to find out about how this wait a minute and take a deep breath affects longevity. And because the wait a minute, take a deep breath reduces the stress response, they found consistently people who were deep breathers, when they were given bad news, when they had a quick decision that needed to be made, paused to take a breath. Every time.
Can I say something about it, Beth?
Yeah, go ahead.
So like when you're in this and this is happening and you completely do this. So remember I was talking about like cortisol and adrenaline and any other of those intense emotion hormones that are needed for survival just course through your system. And so what they're saying is that when this happens, like let's say you get angry, like road rage, do you know that it takes 4 to 6 hours to actually get all those things regulated in your physical system? So that's why they're saying that elevated cortisol, that elevated things can actually decrease your likelihood, your longevity.
So your likelihood of having a heart attack within 4 to 6 hours of something like that. Up to thousands of points.
Yeah. So like, if you can breathe to kind of keep this from not doing this, you're actually starting to like calm that flooding of those hormones into your system. Yeah. So
you're telling your body, nope, we're still here. We're safe.
Yeah.
Okay. And when that can become a habitual response, you really do increase longevity. It's pretty impressive.
And some people even actually think they like it. And so they're like, it's okay. I like going into that. And that's that condition.
Holy moly. Yeah.
Good. Not good at all.
Not good at all.
Well, these pictures, I hope they're not too triggering for anybody, but this is the origins of the aroma wisdom technique. It was started during COVID and when things were really rough, because this was the feeling. We were all walking around with our lids flipped. Everything in society was saying this is the end. And so the facing of the unknown was the ultimate thing during that time. We just didn't know. We didn't know how economies were going to be. We didn't know how there were so many theories being, so there was lots more fear. It was just really rough. And so that's when Dr. Perkis started this, because he was seeking in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic and all of the unrest for wisdom, just for himself and for those he serves. And he went to the Bible, where he learned wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things one may desire cannot be compared. He originally called it the doomsday technique because he had been listening to a newscaster or something before bed that night and basically forecasting, okay, this is the end, and went to bed and woke up the next morning in a funk. And he is a very optimistic person. And so that took him to the Bible to find wisdom. And he first taught it as doomsday and then changed it to wisdom because of what he's learned here and found it. So let's just look at this long, very elaborate definition of wisdom, but there's so much in here. Wisdom is the ability to find practical, creative, contextually appropriate, so it works for the context in which you are placed, where you are right then at that time, and emotionally satisfying. Now, for me, that's a big deal. I want to feel emotionally content. Solutions to complicated human problems. So we're looking at practical solutions, creative solutions, appropriate solutions for where we are, and emotionally satisfying solutions as we begin to approach these techniques to reduce worry in our lives. Aroma wisdom is only one of them. And of course, we're acquiring knowledge, which this is my favorite quote in the whole thing. Jen, read to us just the quote, will you?
Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. I love that.
I just love that because to me, it just sums up the whole, the knowledge tomato is a fruit. Go back to that wisdom. Wisdom is contextually appropriate, emotionally satisfying. I really don't think a tomato in my fruit salad would be satisfying. I think it would throw me
much.
off.
Yeah.
And so wisdom really does bring a quality to our lives of peace and of trust and of safety. So when do I need wisdom? Now, couched in the COVID terms, I became very self-centered. I think a lot of us did. And nationally, we had a lot of rioting and unrest in that area because we became very isolated and judgmental when we were in this self-centered space. When do you guys feel like you need wisdom?
Every day, every moment.
Why
of every
though?
day.
Why?
Because there are so many voices, there are so many things trying to tell me what I should do, what I should think, what I should believe, how I should behave, how just all of this influx all around, constantly in my face. And so for me, that wisdom is being centered, not self-centered, but centered within myself, right? Centered within myself and being able to say, okay, I can choose what do I know? And what is truth? Because truth to me that's the key of wisdom. And I've learned through so many experiences what truth feels like. It's not just a thought or in my brain. I feel it in my whole body when I feel truth. And it is clarity in my mind, but in my body, when I feel truth, which I believe is wisdom, it is grounded, it is centered, it is solid, like it's solid. And throw those things at me. And sometimes those darts get in and sometimes they hurt but then I have to recall, okay, what is truth? What does truth feel like? What does truth feel like? And I learned that in a really, really, really challenging part of my life. Probably one of the most difficult times in my life. And just that thought kept coming over and over again. Jacine, remember, what does truth feel like? What does it? Because sometimes sounding like people are saying stuff and it's got part truth in it. And so you're like, well, okay, that kind of makes sense. But my body is rejecting it because it's like, well, no, there's something wrong here. There's something, And so just that, I was so grateful 10 years ago for having that experience to constantly be brought back to what does truth feel like? What does it feel like? Yeah. And it feels like peace. It feels like clarity. It feels like, So
stillness for me. It's
wisdom.
Like quiet, still pond. Wisdom. Yeah. Jen.
wisdom, and totally agree, absolutely with Jacine. And for wisdom for me though is like I've kind of been given the lesson or the learning, and then wisdom is when I've been given the option to apply what I've learned in those situations, and
So
sometimes
it's
I don't apply
application.
them. Excuse me, what?
Application.
Application, yeah.
Application.
And so I feel like sometimes that's wisdom for me because I'm like, oh, I've been given the knowledge now. I can either put that tomato in that fruit salad or I can put that tomato on a sandwich. It's like that type of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cora was unmuted
Oh,
for a
yeah, I
minute.
saw
Cora,
that
did you have?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember now. I was just listening and really enjoying it, and I love your description of what wisdom feels like because those physical descriptions really resonate with me. Seems like I feel things more like that is my I think visually, but things come to me in physical sensations. So that was really cool to hear that description, that it feels like stillness. And it brought to me a picture of when we have a pond right behind our house. And there are times when you wake up in the morning and it's so still that it looks like a mirror. And then as the day goes on, it starts to agitate and you see the breeze kick up. And it's beautiful because when the sun is in just the right spot, it glitters. But that's agitation. And it may be beautiful, but it's not peace. It's not wisdom. And for years, because I didn't find the gospel until I was well into adulthood, I was living off of those little crumbs of truth that were in things. And like you said, my body would reject it. I could feel that there was something missing, but it was the best I had at the time. But it all led me to a better place. But it came from, like you said, recognizing that sensation of truth. I love how you worded that. That was spot on.
Thanks for sharing.
I was just thinking how I think before when people would age, those experiences would teach them wisdom and they became less worried. I think that from what their experiences were, they realized, oh, I don't die from this, or oh, things will be okay. But I think because we have so many voices now of risk coming in and opinion and all of these things that keep our monkey brains going and questioning, that we have a harder time trusting those experiences in ourselves and our own inner wisdom. And so we find ourselves maybe later in our lives being more fearful, and then maybe really our life has taught us, and we have to put extra effort and make it really a thoughtful process to return to our inner knowing through sources and through communication and data that doesn't constantly churn up the pond. And when we do that, I think that's a path that's necessary for older women, where I think before we became more stabilizing in families and a source of calm. And sometimes I feel like today, with all the texts from grandkids and nieces and nephews and just everything, so much, you have more fears because you know how much scary is out there. And I don't think sometimes we had limited access to all the data and all the information that keeps our brains going at night differently than maybe in other generations. So they had more real risk and fear of death daily. We have all it's coming in constantly. And so these tools are so necessary for us, whether it's, journaling, scriptures, meditation, all these things are just to get through the next day and keep your brain and keep your keys and keep your kids on schedule. We almost really need this extra dose of truth and wisdom and spirit to help us through.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Josh Becker of the Minimalists wrote an article recently called The Most Important Thing You Will Do in Your Week. And of course, it's from Josh's viewpoint. He says, but it will make a difference in your life every time. And of course, I had to read that, right? Because the most important thing, I don't agree with him on it being the most important thing, but I do agree with him on it will make a difference in your life every time. And he tells the story of having gone to college and had a professor who gave them the assignment every week to spend 1 hour in solitude. And then the professor went on to define what solitude was. Solitude was a quiet, undisturbed space where you felt safe, without a phone, without a book, but with a notepad where you could jot inspiration. And then to spend 1 hour in that space alone. And the assignment for the entire semester was to do it 1 day a week, and every week when you did it, to write a short paper of what you experienced. And he said, if he had not had to do it for class, he wouldn't have done it because it was so uncomfortable. He said, you can get about to the 15-minute point, and then things start to get really uncomfortable. But what he learned was he could mark 15-minute points through the hour, and every 15 minutes he could see a shift, a deepening in the solitude that he had. Now, that was 30 years ago for him that he took that class, and he has done this solitude practice weekly for these 30 years. Wow. And he could testify that it was the most important thing in his week, and that it always made a profound difference. So that's a way to have that escape. We have lots of ways to reset and to have solitude, but the idea of sitting alone in a room with yourself for an hour, undisturbed, and seeing what you learn. So
that's interesting, because I think sometimes a lot of us don't want to sit with ourselves because they're like, yeah, I don't want to know that stuff because it's not
1 hour
pleasant sometimes.
Not comfortable. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not, but think about it from a spiritual practice and the things that could digest and move within you in an hour's time if you were willing to be still.
Yeah.
And just listen.
I think that in the beginning will be probably a lot of self-judgment and self-deprecation, and then you can move into compassion after that, hopefully.
I don't know, but if somebody's willing to do it, I would do the project with you.
I actually want to do this.
You want to do this?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I want to see what happens.
Let's put it on the 50-50 page and do an invite and see if people want to join. And then we three will come up with a game plan.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
1 hour. Yeah. 1 hour every week. All right. Let's go back and that could be, we can find out, that could be one way to create wisdom. Now, one of the ways that we teach the creator-based coaching to create wisdom is to become creator-centered and to really get to know your creator and to move into your place as a joint creator with your creator. And one of the things that I have noticed in my experience with this is there really is a shift for me. When I am creator-centered, I'm much better at understanding. When I am self-centered, I am much more judgmental. What have you guys, I know Jen, I know Jacine, I think Cricket, you too have had experiences seeking to be creator-centered. Have you seen that influence your wisdom patterns at all?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Well, how?
Yeah. So as I was talking before, that creator-centered, when I feel like the world is crashing in on me, then I'm so centered on, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, right? I'm starting to
it's all centered
lid.
on me.
Yeah.
It's all coming in.
Yeah. And it's too heavy, and it's too much. And just remembering and being able to say and take 3 deep breaths and just say, okay, I have choice here. I have choice here. And getting curious, as Jen says, is just getting curious. Okay, why am I thinking this? What's really happening? What and turning to my creator and saying, because sometimes I can't have different thoughts, right? But being able to recognize my thoughts, because it's always my thoughts. I shouldn't say always, but predominantly it's my thoughts.
It's a thought, and a thought can be changed. That's just basically true.
It's my thought. My thought can be changed. Recognizing it, being able to recreate that story in my mind, look at it differently. Well, what if I put this on? What if I looked at it this way? It's a thought, right? Just trying on different ideas and then being able to move forward and create with my creator thoughts that are kind, helpful, and true, right? Yeah.
I love that. Anybody else want to share?
I just heard a little quote last week that was really helpful for me visually. It was in a little book that talks about, it's kind of talking from the Savior's voice. He's telling you daily kind of things you should do. And one of them was, you can't carry tomorrow's load today, or you won't be able to take care of what you need to do today. You can't carry today's load and take on tomorrow's. And so the idea was, it helps me visualize that, I literally can't take on all of my future days worries and concerns and get through today and do what I need to do successfully. And then that, of course, it then turns to, look to me, trust in me. But I also was thinking, and, hand me a bag. If I'm carrying a bunch of groceries in Costco load, I'm going to ask my kid, hey, can you go get a couple for me without a thought? And so just that idea of, I just visualize, I can't take that on today. I literally don't have that emotional weight on, and just wait till I'm a little bit more free in my. And also, and it's something I always tell my son, because he tends to be more of a worrier and wanting to solve all the problems, and his brain loops a lot, which mine does. And I just always say, you need more data. If you can't solve the problem in your head, you need more data or you need more time. Because sometimes time will fill in the pieces that we don't have today. And so when we're trying to solve tomorrow's things, we don't have enough information, and maybe life needs to happen a little bit, and that will narrow it down on its the company that you wanted to take a job with turns you down in 2 days, or you find out something. Like, just data and time helps me calm sometimes, and some of that data comes from the spirit, and sometimes that time is the Lord's timing, and sometimes there's worldly data and worldly timing that also helps us in working out our futures.
Wow.
I like that.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Cricket. Yeah. And I love that. You can't carry tomorrow's load today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love that. That was beautiful. All right. Let's talk about some other ways we can create wisdom, or we can have wisdom. So we've talked a lot about what you do when you need wisdom. Here's a few practical ideas. Red Riding Hood, stop telling scary stories. Now, if you look at this two paths, it goes in two different ways. When you look at it, do you see the dark corners, or do you see the sunshine glistening on the branches? It's like the rabbit and the duck. You can see it either way. And like the gift of anxiety equals imagination, you can choose to stop telling the scary stories that quickly. You can turn it off, and you can utilize the gift of imagination to brainstorm a list of other stories. Okay, so I see a cat. We could have a story of a cat going for a walk. I see some wood with moss on it. There could be leprechauns under there. There could be any number of stories other than the wolf in the dark, right? Jen, what do you think?
So immediately, because I love forests and trees and things like that. So this is actually very happy for me. I'm all like, yay!
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, but I want to do both. I want to explore both. But also, what comes to me is when I was in probably like third or fourth grade, we had to memorize a poem. And it was Robert Frost, Two Roads Diverged in a Wood. And I took the one less traveled by. That has made all the difference. Yeah. And so it's like, I love this. I love those images for that reason. So I probably would get there and decide which one is the less traveled, because that's my exploring. So that would be.
And it would be a whole new story. Yeah.
I'm all
the
for
stories we tell ourselves. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So something that's interesting is, again, it's based on experience too, right? So I'm coming up, I'm out for my run, and I'm looking down the two roads, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a cat on that right one, but is it really a cat or is it a skunk? Because Jacine has been running. Oh, look at that cute little kitty. And to me, when I looked at that, it was not a kitty, clearly. And it was not a fun experience. Jacine was in a puddle washing her face off. But, but so it's really interesting how our brain looks at that. It's like, okay, that looks like a skunk. I think taking the left road. I'm staying far away from there. But again, it's based on my experience, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the predictive brain, right?
Yeah. And it's my brain going, oh, be careful, right?
Yeah. The trembling of the amygdala.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's interesting because you said experience, because it's going off of a past memory, and the experience being bad. So it's like, let's, danger, let's go over here, or possible danger, let's go over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But remembering that you have the power to choose a different thought, you could tell yourself another story.
Yeah. I could get the binoculars out. Oh, yes, it is a cat. Okay.
I could imagine that there's Thor and Iron Man back there, and I'll take that path. It'd be good. So this is one of my favorite quotes that Jen uses. Fear and faith both ask me to believe in something I cannot see. Jen chooses faith. We always get to choose, right? It's always, when you're looking at the light or the dark, we get to choose. That can't be taken from us. In every situation, we have the power to choose. The other question that we can look at when we're looking at something like this is, where is your focus? So if you were going to have focus on this one, and you were going to turn it into a movie trailer or into a tagline, you could again recreate another quick story, maybe that didn't involve a skunk, or maybe that involved something wonderful around the corner. But looking at an outcome-based focus and choosing the tagline that you want for that outcome-based focus is a really quick step out of worry. As soon as you pick up a good tagline, you're going to feel a little bit better, a little bit lighter. It's going to make a real difference.
You taught me this with my thoughts, and just asking the question, well, what if it's wonderful?
Yeah, I love that. There's a book called that.
What if everything works out? What if it's wonderful? You're giving just a different possible outcome than the sky is falling in your brain.
Yeah. And it takes effort, but oh my goodness, what a rewarding effort it is. And it's also kind of fun sometimes to drive the people around you crazy. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be great. They're like, stop.
Be quiet.
Yes, it really is. Another great tool to use is visualizing farther out, using an eternal perspective. And this was one of my favorite things to do when I was teaching the high school class. I would put my hands up like this, and I would talk to the teenagers at 6 o'clock in the morning about eternal perspective and how important it is in your life, and how you can visualize and what can you see, and the difference that is made in our decision-making process if we've got these on, we've got our eternal eyeglasses on, or if we're looking right here. Because if we're looking right here, what do you see? Hardly anything, right? My finger looks huge when I put it at the end of my finger. at the end of my nose. But if I had put it out at the end of this road, you could barely even tell. So embracing that adventure and focusing out, way out, long term, can make a huge difference.
I really like this, Beth, because if you're thinking about it, we're already telling ourselves stories about the future. Why can't we just shift that story into like a different, like positive, instead of like, yeah, I'm gonna lose everything and live under a bridge, you know?
Yes. And we're going to take advantage. That imagination is a gift that's been given to us. So the more we work with it, and some of us are really, really good at using it for scary stories. It's already there. Why not just shift it and use it for the good? Yeah, because we always get to choose. Absolutely, always.
You already know how to do this. You just need to change the script. Yeah.
And it's only that much. It's just a tiny choice when you're in the middle of it. Yeah. Just making that.
But I have to say that sometimes it's a tiny choice, but sometimes it just feels so huge and big. But
it does. But that's where the breath comes in, right? You take a deep breath, you find your feet, you're present where you are, and then this comes back down and things begin to work again. And you can remember, it can be really hard. But when you're looking at the visualization of way out there, you want to focus on where you want to be. And so maybe I remember when I started with weight loss, I lost just under 100 pounds. And when I first started, and that first 3 pounds, there was no way I was ever going to get down that 100 pounds. But I was focused out as far as I could, and then just going that direction. And over time, I got where I wanted to be. But it was because I was focused on where I wanted to be. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And then this is one of my favorites, act as if. One of you guys talk to us about act as if, because it is like magic to act as if.
So I have this this is my office, and this is my desk, and I have 2 big whiteboards on the side of my window. And I have I'm a visual person. So I
wish you could give us a tour. Your office is so cool. Yeah.
It's my happy place. And I have this little thing up on my board that says, proceed as if success is inevitable. And my husband came in and he's like, I don't like that. And I was like, well, tell me why. And he said, proceed as if success is already achieved, already here.
There you go.
Act as if you are already that. And I'm like, how come I didn't connect that? Because that is such a big thing in hypnotherapy. We visualize already the success that has happened, or already that thing that we want to achieve. Because as many times as you tell your brain that, your brain says, oh, I am that. And then you become that.
Yes, so that's why our affirmations are, I am.
Yeah. So if you're telling yourself, I'm not successful, you're never going to succeed in anything. Or if you tell yourself, I'm a failure, you're never going to succeed. But if you tell yourself and visualize, hey, I am going to lose that 100 pounds. This is what my body is going to look like. This is what I'm going to feel like. This is how I'm going to be in the world. You've only lost 3, but no, you've lost 3. And then here you're already that. So your brain is going to be on board doing that. So, yeah.
Well, my 100-pound heavier self didn't want to go to social functions and was considerably less confident in speaking up, or, speaking an opinion, or teaching, or sharing, or whatever. So what if when I was 97 pounds from my goal, I acted as if it was gone and just was confident and just did share and stood up? I'll bet you it would have been much more comfortable letting go of all of the extra weight. It would have just continued to come off with less effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I be,
you want to pop a bubble, Jason?
Are you going to be
I'm going to pop a bubble. I'm going to pop a bubble.
Pop a bubble, girlfriend. Okay. Pop the bubble.
If I'm a fish and I want to climb a tree, there is no physical way I can climb a tree. I can envision it. I can do anything I want, but there are
fish are not in trees.
And so I want to be careful about saying, "Oh, I can envision anything and become that."
Yeah, I probably won't
I'm
become an astronaut at any
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
yeah. And if I wanted, yeah.
But it has to
So
be realistic.
it has to be a
Well,
realistic.
and what we're really
Yes.
talking about is worry.
Mhm.
Acting
Worry.
as
Yes.
if when we're worried. So acting as if we are safe,
Mhm.
acting as if we have a solution, acting as if we are going to have a great outcome.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you're right. Fish don't.
Yeah.
They can't do.
Bugs.
So I guess if I can't really think of a worry that you could act as if it wouldn't improve. But if you think of one, feel free. Bubble popper.
I know.
Great.
So if I'm a fish and I want to climb a tree, or I'm Little Mermaid and she got what she wanted, but
Yeah, she did.
that's
But that was because
right.
it's a Disney movie. Yeah.
That's because it's a Disney movie. So if I'm a fish and I want to climb a tree, how can I? And I'm worried that I'm never going to be able to do this. It's just never going to happen. How can I shift from wanting to climb that tree? I mean, what is that key? Because that's the key. Because I'm just so worried that my life is not going to amount to anything because I'm never going to get to do that. I'm never going to get to do it. So how do I shift my brain there?
I would question what's so important about climbing a tree. I would question that. I'd be like, okay, so what is so
Get curious. That's Jen. Get curious about it. Yep. Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it something that somebody
back to my creator circle, back into the center of my creator circle, and find out what my creator wants to do with me on that path?
What? Yeah, I love that. Where did my thought start with wanting to climb this tree? And I've been told all my whole life, I can do this. I can do it. I can do it. But I can do whatever I want. But then I love the curiosity. Well, why? Why do you want to climb that tree? So getting curious. What's so important about that? Yeah.
And why?
And that would stop the worry.
Yeah. And why does it have such bearing on my self-worth?
Yeah.
What's going on in there? Probably write about it too, right? Because writing slows things down so that we can do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me the things that come out when I slow down and write. It's such a gift. All right. Well, here are a couple more ideas. I'm pretty sure we've already covered them. But when you want to do worry control practice, the first thing you need to do is find your Zen space. And yes, these are our beloved Jacine's toenails.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yoga on the beach.
2 weeks ago, that's where I was. Yes.
Yes. So beautiful. And we talked about remembering that you are in control. You really are the creator of your life experience, and you are in charge of your decisions. We also talked about some questions, but this is one of my favorite things to do. If I've really got something looming, I like to say, okay, at 4:00, I'm going to take 15 minutes and just worry my little heart out on this. And then all day long, whenever it pops up, I can say kindly to the monkey in my brain, no, sweetie, it's not time. That's for 4:00. and then just let it go. Nope, it's not 4:00 yet. Nope, it's not 4:00 yet. And then at 4:00, I can give it all the worry I want for a scheduled amount of time and then put it away. And it will open up and free up my thought space. Because sometimes you just got to have worries. You just need some time to think about it. But if you don't, here's the questions that Jacine brought up. Jacine, can you speak to these just for a minute, why they appeal to you so much?
Oh, man. The 3 questions, is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? Sometimes something, it might be true. And I'm just trying to think of it. It might be
true that I have this big fat zit on the end of my nose.
Right. Okay. It might be true. And it looks terrible and it's embarrassing. And, but everybody's going to look at me wherever we go with that. They're going to think I'm horrible. They're just, whatever it is. Right. That's not kind and it's not helpful. So
It's not worth
you've got to have, you've got to have all three. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? And getting curious with all of that. And then if it's not all three, just being able to say, all right, let's find another
jump on
thought.
a trampoline monkey, you're gone.
Yeah. Yep. Bye-bye. Not my thought.
Not my thought.
Yeah.
That's another. I love that phrase.
Mhm.
It's
Not my thought.
Not my thought.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Go away.
Yeah. Yeah. They're beautiful measuring sticks. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? And then what thought will help me feel the way I want to feel? Right? Just like you did. Not my thought. Let's choose another thought. Because it's just a thought. And a thought can be changed. No matter how hard you always can be changed, no matter what. That's another one of those truths. So let's talk a little bit about the aroma freedom technique, because we're going to practice this a little bit. I told you Dr. Perkis worked on and created the aroma freedom technique during COVID. But what he sought was he wanted this integrated self that's over on the right-hand side. But where he was at the moment was the tangled ball of yarn on the left, the disintegrated self. He had memories. He had feelings, he had thoughts, he had physical sensations in his body that were all floating around in their own personal cacophony. And he felt like this tangled ball of wire or yarn. He actually that's why he chose this image. And what he wanted was to be able to separate the physical sensations, the memories, the feelings and thoughts, and integrate them to a peaceful, wise place. So he created Aroma Wisdom as part of his aroma series. And these, if you look at the gradual increase in the circles, move from the past with the traumatic memory resolution technique, which is the smallest and the deepest. Jen would know about that with the aromatherapy, with the hypnotherapy. It is the deepest in our subconscious mind. And he referred to it in one word as haunted. It's the thing that just keeps coming up or that underrides. And so there is traumatic memory resolution technique that can be done. Or with that in your soul and your heart, you get triggered, which is the next one out. And he developed Aroma Clear, so you can just very quickly and very succinctly release a trigger. If the triggers had time to grow and you're overwhelmed, an aroma reset can be in order. And if you're procrastinating because of that overwhelm, an aroma boost can make a huge difference. If you're feeling stuck and frustrated because of the procrastination, Aroma Freedom, which is his original technique, is amazing for helping you achieve the goals and the things that you really want to have happen, but don't think you can. And then this last one, when you worry or you have that existential dread, he created Aroma Wisdom. So you can see how it moves from a past memory to a future expectation as it grows. And that's where we're going to work today, is on that future expectation or that future fear. So Aroma Wisdom is like a prediction reset. It's if we're like, I'm going to fail that test. I didn't study. Or I'm going to freak out. Maybe I did study. And I'm prepared. I'm going to freak out. I'm going to fail that test. And so it's a way for me to reset my prediction. Yeah, Jen.
Would that also be something like when you're thinking, oh, I'm just waiting for the next shoe to fall?
Yes, waiting for the next shoe to fall. Really, what really cracks me up about this, you guys, I love doing Jumpstarts and I love teaching, but I have had to use Aroma Wisdom for teaching this class today. Because I swear it was just a gift to me, that Heavenly Father gave me that gift of being worried to the point where I was like, oh, I'm just going to ruin it. And then I was out of business and I was living under a bridge. I mean, I had gone full circle. And so for me to be able to say, okay, well, my next step is I'm just going to finish the slides. When I finish the slides, I'm going to go do an aroma reset, or aroma wisdom, which for me, way deep. It was so cool. And then I walked away really happy for like 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, oh, we're going to do this and it's going to be so fun. So it can be like waiting for the other shoe to drop. It can be like when he worked with the COVID expectations, the world is going to end. He was helping a lot of clients dealing with all of the change and existential dread. There's just not a better way to to use that existential dread. So we're going to work on a prediction reset. So let's take a minute. You all need your journal, just like always. And let's talk about what we've been worried about. And as thoughts come to you, we'll take a few minutes and we'll just talk about it. So maybe you've been worried about, I was worried about teaching the class. Sometimes I'll worry about being able to have my needs met in a different situation. What are you worrying about right now? Let's just brainstorm a little bit. I know I worried about the weather there for a while too, and about my pipes bursting because it got so very cold. What's on your worry list?
That I'm not going to be able to figure out how to do reels and shorts.
Yeah. Our favorite training tool, Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, they teach us so much, but it's not about Facebook and Instagram. It's about what's inside of us. Yeah. Yeah, not being able to make, not having enough money, having too much money. So you have too many taxes to pay. Yeah.
Oh, I'd like that worry.
You wouldn't mind having that problem?
I wouldn't mind having that worry.
Worried about my kids, worried about my grandkids, worried about what's going on in their lives. And, maybe something happened at school, or maybe, maybe I'm going through a divorce and I just am worried about my kids. What's that outcome going to be? How's their life going to be? There's big worries. There's big worries.
Worried about my husband, about his health, about his abilities, about his happiness. I mean, people we love. Yeah.
Yeah. Worried about my mom being in the situation she's in. And yeah.
Worried about upcoming elections. We vote on Tuesday, y'all, here in Texas. Got a whole lot of angst going around and lots of weird texts coming into my box that causes more worry.
Yeah.
So there's worry about national unrest, worry about one of your children being sick or overwhelmed or not succeeding. That's a big one. Worried about my kids making a mistake and failing at life. Yeah.
Worried about having to make a change, whatever that looks like. I've got to make maybe I'm in a job that just isn't good. And what am I going to do if I quit this job that is really belittling me? And what do I do then? Yeah.
Or little things, worried about a stomach ache. My imagination is so good at giving me pancreatic cancer because I have a stomach ache. It's great. Yeah. So just worries. Yeah. Let's just take a second and see what comes up. What feels like it wants your attention today on your worry list.
Can I just pop in something here?
Yes, please do.
Also, be aware of maybe some feelings that you're having with your body, like physical sensations.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Yep.
Well, because I just recognized I'm doing my self-soothing. I have a self-soothing thing that I do. So we have really, as I was writing down my worries, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing my self-soothing action. So I'm all like,
activated
holy cow.
Something in there's kind of big. I know I could feel tightness here when I start listing worries.
Yeah. So, be aware of some of those things. You're hitting what you need to hit.
Yeah, that's a good thing. If you're feeling just a little uncomfortable with it, that's the one you want to choose. Yeah. Let's just take like one more minute. Brainstorm it through. Maybe worried about not having enough. Maybe worried about being not enough. Maybe worried about being too much. So many good worries. And as you complete your list, look over it and let's choose one. Which one is really asking for your attention today? Single it out and rewrite it. And get an image. Whatever this potential future is that brings you fear or worry or despair or hopelessness. That scary, scary scenario. And as it comes up, once you can clearly picture it, give it a number of how upsetting it feels to you or how impossible it feels to you on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, it's fine, and 10 being, yeah, I just can't do this. I can't even talk about this or think about this. And when you have it, just let us know. When everybody has it, then we'll move forward. Thanks, Jacine. I love your thumbs up. It's so cute. You can feel it in your body too. It'll help you get that number from 1 to 10. Okay, you guys feel pretty ready to move forward? Everybody rated how they are with 1 to 10? Can you unmute and just share with us what your number is?
I'm an 8.
You're an 8. What about you, Jen?
I was really surprised that this registers at a 10, but I did some deeper dives. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is a 10.
Yeah. Okay, good. We like something in the 8 to 10 range. How about Cora?
I had 2. One was a 7 and one was an 8. So I guess I'll go with the 8.
Gonna go with the 8. Okay. Cricket, are you with us? Oh no, she stepped aside. All right, we'll move forward. Let Cricket come back when she's ready. All right, so we want to find one word that describes how you feel when you picture this scary thing. It might be sad, it might be hopeless, it might be lonely or fearful. But you want to write, okay, you've got your number, write your number down, and then write next to it the feeling you feel. One word.
I feel like I need to find a thesaurus for this one.
Yeah.
Feel like what?
I feel like I need a thesaurus.
A thesaurus. Okay, well, hold on. We've got a list here: regret, hate, fear, anger, shame, guilt, sadness, sorrow, terror, horror. When I did this, it was terror that I worked with. Yeah. Give us some more feeling words that she can choose from, Jen, Jacine.
Oh, mine though. Mine's destitute.
Destitute.
Wow.
Yeah, despondent. I did one with that was despair.
Yeah, those could be dread. There could be, well, it could even be like regret. There could be fearful. There could be resentment. I mean, you could have a lot of those things.
Anger. Yeah.
Destitute. Yeah. That struck a chord.
Destitute. Okay, perfect.
Doesn't it strike you?
Destitute at an 8. You are going to do well. That is good.
Well, I had to change my 8 to a 9.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, when you feel that.
That's right. Okay. So then we want to take our destitute 9 or our terrified 8 or whatever that is and find it in your body. So it might be in your head. It might be in your heart. I had it in my shoulders when I was working, in my arms. It could be in your knee or your feet. And it also could be a posture, like that slumped shoulders, like the I can't posture, or clenched teeth. But write it down. So you have your number, you have your feeling, and you have where you feel it. Just add it. Okay. Are we all there? I don't want to move too fast.
Can it be like in 2 places, or like I'm going back and forth? It's like, oh, it's here, but it's here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll kind of, when we get into the actual clearing process, you'll feel it changing in your body as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine was heart and shoulders when I did it for this class. Yeah. And so, and then things just kind of shift around. You start noticing. Yeah, it can be more than one place, but principally I felt it more in my heart when I was working. So I started there. Okay. And while you're finding your feeling, this is the listening time. Let your inner critic out, let the monkey out of the cage. And you've got this feeling, and we want a negative thought. What are you hearing in your mind and in your heart that is supporting that feeling? It might start with I don't, or I can't, or I'm not. Or it might be you always. But write that down too. It might be this will never work. That's one that I hear kind of often in my brain. Or you're doing it wrong. And put it on paper. And once you have it down, it doesn't have to be super big. You want to get your oils out and get them ready. So it doesn't have to be super precise. It just needs to be the thought, the feeling, where it is in your body. And then you're going to get out your frankincense, your lavender, your stress away, or your vanilla.
Okay.
And you're going to open the stage curtains on your mind so that your mind can see whatever is coming up for you. And you're going to notice breathing in, grab your aroma, whatever your aroma of choice is, and inhale deeply while you're focusing on that feeling, the way it feels in your body, that negative thought, and whatever it is that's at an 8 for you, that situation. And while you're breathing into that, just let yourself first go into the feeling in your body, breathing into that place and feeling into that body sensation, whether it's dark or tight, just breathing into your body, breathing into the negative thought, and breathing into the situation. And then simply observing, step back like it's that stage in your mind. And as you're breathing into your body and the thought and the situation, notice what happens to the picture of the situation. Just noticing. You don't have to work at this. Just let the oil and the scent do the work. Notice what's happening in your body. Noticing what's happening in your mind. Long, deep, cleansing, healing breaths. And you may see that the image in your mind changes. It might grow foggy, or it might break apart. It might become a different image. Notice what's happened to the feeling in your body. Breathing into that. And when the things have shifted as far as you feel like they're going to go with this round, just come back and we'll talk a little bit. Keep yourself open to the wisdom that could come to you about your situation. Again, the thought, the situation, the feeling in your body. And now, what does your wisdom tell you? And take a minute and write that down. And then we'll move on to the next round. We're going to do 3 rounds. So when you felt some shift, and jot down the insights that were there for you. And let's just take a second with everybody jotting down and go back and rate how's it feel now? That potential scary future, that worry that you were working on a scale of 1 to 10, how upsetting is it now? And I'd love to hear your numbers when you've got a sec.
I'll share because it actually went deeper for me. And so
it's real common for it to get bigger before it gets smaller.
Yes, it got much bigger. But the false statement that came out of it, the false belief, I was like, holy cow. And not understanding that this is what's a belief that's been in there. Because it's consciously, I'm like, I don't believe that. But there's something inside of me that's feeding that word, worry and fear, that is running off of this belief. So this was a really good discovery. But now I'm like, can we get rid of this? Can we change it?
It'll go away. We're going to do 2 more rounds.
I know, because I've done this with you, but I'm just all like, wow. Yeah.
It really can. It can grow and get bigger. Like in this picture on the slide, like the alien actually lands, with that first round. Or it can shift through 3 or 4 new memories and become something different. It's common for that too. How did things go for you, JC?
Well, I'm not usually a crier, but I'm like, because it got big. Like it's big, and it was
we're gonna do it again.
It was not nice. It was not nice. It's not
that
nice.
was a monkey. Ooh. Cora, how are you doing? Cricket, you guys have anything you want to share? Okay. Well, then let's look at it again.
It took him out, Beth. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, she's there.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. It was really powerful, and it lost its teeth, so to speak. Like it started out so big and worrying, and the sensations that I was feeling, I had to go back in my description because I could tell what it was as it was being undone. Like, I didn't realize it was this. I didn't realize I was feeling that. Now that it's undone, I recognize what it was. So that was really cool. I've never done that before. That was powerful.
And vanilla. That's vanilla extract, right?
Yes, I love vanilla.
Yeah, that's with the vanilla extract. Okay, so you guys, what's your number now?
3?
Go back and look at it again. What'd you say, Bear? What'd you say, Cora?
I think I went down to a 3, maybe.
Awesome. Stacey, you kind of went up, didn't you? Where are you now?
Yeah, I'm probably like 9. Yeah, it was at a 10, but then it came down a little bit before we stopped. But yeah.
We're going to go back and work at it again. And Jen, where are you?
I'm still a 10.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look again, the exact same steps that we did before. Where do you feel the feeling in your body now? And there's probably a new negative thought. What's the feeling? Where is it in your body? And what's the thought? Just take a minute and write that down. It's important for the clarification. And then for those of you that have it, we're going to switch to either trauma life or inner child for this next round. And if those of you that don't have oils, continue with the vanilla. One word that describes how you feel when you picture it, where it is in your body, and the negative thought that is connected to it now. And then grab your inner child or your vanilla and let's do it again. Breathe into it. Lavender frankincense will work as well. Just breathe. Let the oil, let the scent be the power so that you just stand in the background and let it take care of the feeling as you breathe it into the feeling and the thought. And you may find with this round that you switch to some new memories that pop up. You treat them the same way, just breathe into them, letting that scent be your champion. Breathing into your body, into that space where you feel it. Letting the thoughts flow as they will. It may actually just be a series of thoughts, and that's okay. Breathe into those. And breathing into any images that you have. Touching base with your creator. Inviting your creator in. Long, deep, safe, slow breaths. Trust the process. It's all unfolding as it should. You may notice around the edges there are some glimmers of light or some new thoughts that are coming in. Be aware there too. Maybe a little hope around the corners. Trusting and observing. And then note, what does your wisdom tell you about this situation now? Okay, let's take one good long last breath and come back. And then we'll rate where we are again. One last time. Letting it all go. Just let it drain out of your shoulders, drain out of your arms, drain everything down. Yep, shake it all out. And then where are you now on a scale of 0 to 10? How are you, JC?
Yeah, I'm about a 4. Yeah. Very interesting observing and watching the process
It's
unfold.
almost like watching a movie.
It's wisdom for sure. It's giving me quite a bit of wisdom and truth. Yeah. Wow. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Cora, where are you?
I wasn't able to do a second round. I was managing a toddler.
Okay, that's good. But you had a great first round, so that's cool.
I really did. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do one more round. Jen, how are we?
We're coming down a little bit,
Okay.
but it's like Jason, there's a lot of information coming out of this.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. It's amazing to me how identifying what the thought is, what the feeling is, and where it is in your body, and combining it with the oil, the way the oil acts on your brain, because you've stirred up the emotions and the scary thoughts or the sad thoughts or whatever. And so the amygdala is activated, but what you're doing is you're breathing that oil, and it only has to travel about 1.5 inches up your nose to the amygdala. It's very close. And it's telling your amygdala all is well. While your amygdala has, and your subconscious mind has all of these scary things going. So it's almost like you have a little bit of a rewrite of the script. And that rewrite can be like a battle sometimes as things come up and are addressed and come up and are addressed. And you feel a lot, but then you let that script be rewritten and your number comes down, your intensity comes down. So with this third one, we're going to use release if you have it. And if you are using the vanilla, you can continue with the vanilla. You can add a little bit of citrus to it. Scratch an orange peel, scratch a lemon peel, get some of that inner white rind where the really good scent is. And you can get that into your hands and use a little of that with your vanilla. We just want to give your brain something new to work with. And so looking at what your number is this time, how intense is it? And going back, naming the feeling you feel now. It might be something different. And where you feel that feeling in your body. I know when you're in the middle of it, it's hard sometimes to pause and write this down, but it really does help refocus your brain. What's the feeling? Where is it in your body? And what are the sentences in your brain saying now? What is that negative thought? And then we'll go in with release if you have it, or trauma life if you want. You can also use the lavender and the frankincense, stress away combination, continuing with that, or the vanilla. And if you want to add a little of the lemon to the vanilla, you can. Brighten things up and go back in and take the long, deep breaths. Breathing into that physical sensation in your body. Letting the images start going again on your stage or in your movie. Letting things open up. Breathing into the thought. And watching for the situation. Just watching things change. Remembering that you are simply the observer. The scent, the oils are doing the work. You're safe. Your job is to breathe and to watch. Just notice. You may feel some gratitude coming in. You may feel some light. You may feel some insight and wisdom, some new thoughts. Those are all good. Whatever comes is right. Just watch and breathe and sink in. Fully allowing. And then we're going to step out and see what our wisdom tells us now. You may actually feel an action step coming in. Something that needs to happen. Write it down. Write it down verbatim. What's the next step? And as you're writing down your next step, I want you to picture yourself doing it and write down what will be the positive feeling you will have as you do the action. Name that positive feeling you're going to have as you do the action. Maybe it'll be peaceful, maybe it'll be strong, satisfied, grateful, joyous, calm, happy. What positive feeling will you have in this action? And where will you feel this positive feeling in your body? Is it going to be in your shoulders? Is it going to be in your chest? Anywhere is great. But what positive feeling will you feel, and where will you feel it in your body? My affirmation for this class was, I feel calm in my heart as I teach this class, as I work through this class. Okay. Now we're going to create an action affirmation that integrates all of these elements. Okay. And you want to write this down underneath. I feel blank in my blank as I blank. I feel calm in my heart as I lead the workshop. I feel satisfaction in my smile as I lead my team. Create that action affirmation to integrate all of those elements. I feel secure in my mind as I speak to my boss. I feel hopeful in my heart as I pay my bills. I feel blessed as I talk with my neighbors. Blessed in my shoulders, in my countenance, in my stature. I feel blank in my blank as I blank. I'll give you a minute to do that. Let me know when you've got that, and then we'll work on the next step. Okay. The next thing we want to do, if you feel like you want it, is to create an attitude affirmation. We had the action, we want an attitude. It's a second sentence. For instance, mine was, I feel calm in my heart as I teach. And then my attitude affirmation was, I am strong. The examples here, I know my daughter will be protected. I trust it will turn out as it should. I stand up and fight for what I believe in. It's an affirmation for you personally. So I feel blank in my blank as I blank. And then an affirmation. I am, I know, I do. Just let it come out. Your wisdom knows, your creator knows what it needs to be. One more minute, and then we're going to move on. Cora, are you able to be with us?
Yes, I'm really loving this. This is amazing.
How is it going for you with your action step and your attitude, your affirmation?
It was so simple for me. I almost feel like maybe I'm doing it wrong.
You're not doing it wrong.
Nope,
You're doing
nope.
it right. Sounds like that. Yep. That's a gift. I know mine was too when I did it. I'm like, really? That's all? Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So for you with your lemon, if you've got just a second to grate some of that lemon or to scrape it off with your thumbnail so you can get the full effect of the lemon, we're going to use that for this next. So you're going to have combined. This is, I feel relieved in my chest knowing my daughter will be protected. I feel joy in my heart as I choose to accept the new job. I know everything is unfolding as it should. So we're going to combine our two affirmations, and then we're going to do our power pose with that. Okay. So what we want to do is find the pose that feels right, that expresses the energy of your statement. When I was doing my AFT, it was, I feel calm in my heart as I lead the class. I'm strong. And for me, that was hands over my heart. But for Jen, I can see Jen is standing. You might have stand up with your hands on your hips. A lot of people love with their arms up in the air. So they have the victory dance. But you're going to want to breathe your citrus oil, your transformation, or your belief. And you're going to use this power pose and this statement while together. And we're going to breathe it, and we're going to say the statement 3 times, and we're going to do that 3 times. So if you guys want to mute, or if you just want to hear each other's poses, it all works, however you want to do it. Mm-hmm. But you need to say it out loud, loud and proud in your power pose. So if you've got it, breathe your oil, your lemon oil, your transformation, your believe. I feel blank in my blank as I blank. I know whatever. You say it 3 times. And then breathe your oil again. And say it 3 times. Feeling it all the way into your body. Say it loud and proud. There you go. And then another really good deep inhale of your oil. And one last time, 3 times. You can shout it to the rooftops if you want to. I feel it. This is real. You got it. That was beautiful. I got it. Oh, yeah. Totally got it. And then come back and unmute and let's talk about it. Because life is good. So good.
Very good.
Yeah. What did you guys end up with? Do you feel comfortable sharing your affirmations and your action steps? If you do, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so my affirmation is I feel secure in my body as I feed her what she needs without judgment. I'm beautiful inside and out.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Wow. That was a hard one statement. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. Yep. Anybody else want to share?
I can. So it really just, I mean, I didn't know this was going to go where this went, but
I know it always blows my mind.
It always blows my mind how it's so connected. But the destitute, I couldn't come up with a statement of it was just I can't, and it was all this stuff. It was just I can't, and so as we went through it, I got to the point where it was assurance. And so my statement was, I feel assurance in my low back as I move forward in my life.
Supported. So supported. The low back.
Supported.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was that assurance. And yeah, but it was
beautiful.
It's interesting because the shift wasn't so much, the shift was getting assurance from God instead of from the people in my life. So it was just super interesting.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Laura, do you have anything you want to share?
So I really felt it in my heart and my neck, and I'm not sure, maybe I just list both, but I feel accomplished in my heart or neck as I apply for work.
I love it.
My word was also destitute. I'm quite concerned about providing for my family.
Yeah.
And my affirmation was, I can, written normally, and then in all caps, again, I can.
Oh, good. You know, it's interesting you say your heart and neck. It makes me wonder if it's about standing up straight.
It probably is, because I've been...
standing tall and proud.
Well, and I've been pushed down by so many people in my life.
Yeah.
I've been, suppressed.
That's amazing. You guys are great. Well, I hope that was a good experience. The beautiful thing is this is recorded, so you can come back and do this as many times as you want. And just forward through the instruction and just tame the monkey that's there. This poor sad monkey. He knows he's going to be put back in the back room somewhere, and he's not going to be able to be in my brain. But it's true. He's
gonna
just going to
go
be
where
in
he needs to go, where he's supposed to be, not in your brain.
No, he can go where he needs to go now. That's right. Because I've created a lot more freedom and calm and strength in my life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you have time, somewhere in the next hour, do the affirmation, the power pose again, because your brain will remain activated for 6 hours. This is the time it's going to be most susceptible. Your subconscious mind will be most susceptible. So over this next 6 hours, as often as you can think about it, use your oils again, stand in your power pose, or just think about it and say it out loud. Another thing you can do is read your affirmation into your phone recorder and play it for yourself. Yeah. And that can be really powerful.
Add to you, Beth, that it's so important to have it before you. So even if you put it on a Post-it note, just have it before
stick it around your house, bathroom mirror, next to your bed. See it lots this week. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for bringing that up. So we are going to start an Aroma Freedom series starting the 8th. So it's a week. Is it this Friday? I think it is this upcoming Friday.
This coming Friday.
Yeah, at 11 o'clock Central. And we'll be doing Aroma Freedom every 2 weeks for 4 sessions. We will be addressing sibling trauma, but everybody has been a sibling, even if they're an only child at some point. More than anything, it's going to unleash whatever's ready to be released in your subconscious mind. So anybody who's a member of the 50/50 Girl Club is invited to come for free. And if you're not a member of the 50/50 Girl Club, well, I have a good one for you, because we have a free 30-day trial for the 50/50 Girl Club that if you scan that with your camera, just take a picture of it. If you're holding it up live while we're doing this, you'll see a link underneath in your camera screen that you can touch, and it'll take you right there. If you're watching in the recording, you can take a picture of this and then go back to the photo and thumb press the photo, and the photo will have the link come up and it will take you there. So we're offering you the trial for the 50/50 Girl Club, where you can watch all of these things for free. There's also a really special 30-day trial to Coach and Clear. Jacine or Jen, can you speak to Coach and Clear? And then maybe Jacine, you can tell us about the Anxiety Masterclass.
Yeah, I love Coach and Clear because it's really similar with what we just did, but without oils. And it's in a group setting. So it's so interesting how synergistically we, as believers and wanting to help and heal ourselves, but others, just kind of create this like synergistic group. I don't know how else to explain it, but you address what you need to address at the time, and through the creator we release those worries, those anxieties, and those trapped energies, so to speak. So
yeah, it was really powerful. We do a little bit of coaching at the beginning, we do the releasing, and bring your journal, because we also let everybody do their personal journaling. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share, so it can be a very private experience, or it can be a shared experience, however you like it. And then we have this big event coming up in April, and Jacine is going to talk to us about that.
Yeah, so it's we may rename this, especially after you're talking about Dr. Perkis. Realistically, we're unleashing our inner peace, and it's by just like getting rid of, or worry is one thing, but worry leads to anxiety, and anxiety has such an adverse effect in our bodies, in our minds, in our dealings with anyone and everyone we come in contact with. It can get to the point where it shuts us down. We might think we're having a heart attack. We might think there's just so much. So we are offering the first course 1 on a special event. And it's not the course, I guess it's the module, right? The first class.
Yeah, we have 8 modules, 8 classes, but the first one is going to be a kickoff event.
Yeah, the first one is a kickoff event. It's for free. It's on Eventbrite. Right now it's listed as the Anxiety Masterclass. Again, we might change it to Unleash Your Inner Peace. Just as we were going through this, that just kind of really resonated with me. And we've got 2 options at 11 a.m. on April 11th, or Central Time, or 7 p.m. Central Time. And we would love, love, love to have you join us. It's, even if you don't feel like you have anxiety, maybe you know someone who does, and the things that you'll learn and the tools that you'll pick up will be something that you will be able to help others with in their journey. So excited about it.
Oh, me too. Looking forward to it. Yes. It's just going to be a great night. And we are grateful to everybody who came and to all of you who will listen. We're cmhcoaching.com. It's where you can find us. And you can get all the information there or on Eventbrite with creator-based coaching or CMH coaching. You can find us. We have a podcast, creator-based coaching. It's called The Creator-Based Life. And we get together and shoot the breeze once a week and learn new things. And it's really fun and really helpful. It's a great anchor for your week. So let us know. Come see us and register. Come and register on Eventbrite for the Anxiety Masterclass. Any questions before we go? That just felt like such a pitch. But you guys just need to know. Coaching is so fun. Yeah.
You need to know where to go.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, thank you for your time. We almost made it in under 2 hours. We only went 10 minutes over. And we will do this again the second weekend in April. Okay, so we usually do this the first weekend of the month, but the next workshop will be the second weekend. It's actually April the 13th. So it'll just be 2 days after the Anxiety Masterclass kickoff, and we will just be pumped up and ready to go. It's on emotional essential oils. So it'll be a great class. And Jen's going to teach us a lot about emotional release, more about emotional release. What were you going to say, Jen?
Just more of this, but in a different way.
More and deeper and different teacher, because Jen's teaching and she knows. She
I know a few things.
All right. I'll take care. We'll
see you guys.
Soon. Bye.
Bye.
They say you can only believe as loud as you yell, and you can only dream as much as you sell yourself. But she found a way through the noise. She followed her heart and found a better choice. Oh, she broke down walls by loving who was with her, and it spread like a fire. She waged a war through peace and forgiveness. One voice is now a choir. Can you feel it? Sacred solution. Can you hear